I am a survivor. Learn to do good, seek justice, rebuke oppressors, defend the fatherless, plead for the widow. Isaiah 1:17, all-encompassing, protect the abused.
Alright, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say and can will be used against you in the court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have the present with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questionings if you wish. Alright. You good, dude?
Good morning. 12/6 of 2024. It is 9:56 in the morning for me here. Where we last left off on Sarah Boone's forgiveness speech and her inmate behavior notes, we will pick up again today. Looks like we were on page 29 of 84. So this is part 3, and I'm so excited to continue this. Let's have a little bit of Sarah's forgiveness speech before we move on to her notes and see what she has to say for herself this morning. Bear with me. Let me get my wits about me. There we go.
Wow, let's bring back in criminal defense attorneys Jack Rice and Josh Schiffer. Jack, let me start with you this time. Asking forgiveness, or rather granting forgiveness, to George, the Torres family, social media, the media tycoons, and herself, and asking for George's forgiveness. What do you think of all this?
In a soft-spoken conclusion was her words. Actually, if you look up narcissism in the dictionary, you're going to see her picture. I mean, this is extraordinary. If there is such a thing as doubling down, this is it. If you think about what it is that a defendant, a convicted criminal, a convicted murderer needs to do at sentencing, this ain't it. This is exactly how what you do is you light this person up and say, this is how you get life. This is the person who never sees the outside of the jail cell, because after you do it, after you're convicted of it, the response is, I'm really sorry for myself, and it was George's fault, and it was the corrupt police department's fault, and it was the social media's fault, and it was every lawyer's fault, and it was the corrupt system's fault and the judge's fault, but it wasn't my fault. This is how you go to prison for life.
And she even says with that, Jack and Josh, still, no one knows me. In spite of all of this, no one knows me. Josh, your final thoughts as we are going to take a break.
Absolute disaster, and the thoughts aren't going to end. This is, like Jack said, this is begging for the judge to...
Look at his glasses. Aren't those fancy? Aren't those the fanciest glasses you've ever seen? And you see him swishing his cat out a couple of times? He's like, get out of here, get out of here. He probably... That's just too cute.
Swing hard. When we do sentencing issues, and you got to look at what the court's role is. Decision done. You're convicted. You need to approach the person who holds your future in their hand, standing up and proving your point that no one understands. No. This explains all the lawyers.
No, Sarah Boone. No. Okay. We're going to leave that sitting there for a few minutes, and let's go over to our handy dandy notes. Like I said, we were on page 29. So let's skip down to page 29 here. And then we'll just get started. We'll jump right in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so 10. On the last page, we had just gotten moved. We were removed from the faith-based program due to complaints of intimidation, bullying, and antagonizing of inmate workers. So now, let's make this bigger. Where do we usually have this sitting here? Sorry, I'm going to fool around with this till I get it right. Foolery. We usually have this bigger. Here, let's do that. Yeah, okay, there we go. Now you guys should be able to see. We were just in the midst of getting moved to a new dorm. Okay, so we're at 10/14 of 2021 at 5:24 a.m. And on that day, she refused a breakfast tray on the 15th, 19th, 21st, 23rd, and 24th, 27th, and the 31st as well. Not much on page 29 until we get down to 11/2 of 2021 at 1:07 a.m. Negative officer contact. Inmate is receiving this negative for failure to follow CDC guidelines of social distance and wearing of the face mask. Inmate was observed with her face mask hanging from her chin, not over her nose, and not properly on her face. It should be noted that she was not eating, drinking, or in the shower at this time. Negative earned. Bad girl. 11/2 of 2021 at 1:10 a.m. This is just 4 minutes later. Inmate is receiving this negative for talking in the bunk area. All inmates were advised of the dorm rules and that non-compliance would result in a negative. Negative earned. 11/4, 2021 at 12:03 a.m. refused dinner tray. 11/4, 2021, 5:48 a.m. Inmate refused breakfast tray. 11/4, 2021. Razor issued, collected, inspected, returned intact. 11/5 refused breakfast tray. 11/9, 2021 at 5:43 p.m. Negative officer contact. On today, November 9th, 2021, inmate Boone, Sarah, 205623, approached the officer desk and asked if any mail came today. I told her no. Inmate Boone didn't like that answer, so she got an attitude and continued questioning this officer about the mail. She stated that she finds it very odd that the mail hasn't come in 3 days and demand that I call to check to see if B dorm has any incoming mail for today. I then explained to inmate Boone that I am unaware about the past few days because I wasn't the dorm officer? Oh, I wasn't the dorm officer. I can only speak for today that there is no mail for B dorm today. And lastly, I don't need to call anyone regarding mail. FDC has a system put in place for mail. Inmate Boone then demanded an inmate request form. The form was made available to her and she stormed off. Inmate Boone constantly questions the officer's authority and gets an attitude when she doesn't get her way. Negative earned. Definitely earned, huh? Negative officer impact on 11/11/2021 at 2:04 p.m. All inmates were given my dorm expectations and advised several times there would be no talking at any time in the bunk, shower, or bathroom areas. After ensuring all inmates understood the verbal orders given to them while conducting chores of the dorm, the inmates continued to talk in the bunk area, disregarding the rules of the dorm. All inmates in the dorm were informed that they would be remained that they would that they would remained on. Why do they have a type like that? All it makes me stumble when I'm reading. It makes me sound incompetent. All inmates in the dorm were informed that they would remain on their bunks for 2 hours, which was documented in my IMS. Inmate Boone approached the officer desk stating that she had to contact her attorney before 2 p.m. I advised inmate Boone that once the 2 hours are over, the phones will be available for use. Inmate Boone then started to become argumentative with me, stating this is not fair and this is cruel punishment. Inmate Boone has requested an inmate request form and to speak with the supervisor. Inmate Boone turned in an inmate request form on this matter, which was given to the supervisor. 11:15, refused breakfast tray. 11:20, refused breakfast tray. 11:21, refused breakfast tray. 11:22 as well. 11/22/2021, negative officer impact. Inmate is receiving this negative for talking in the bunk area. All inmates were advised of the dorm rules that non-compliance would result in a negative. Negative earned. 11/23, 24, 25, 26, refused breakfast tray. 11/27, razor returned intact. 11/28, 11:29, 11:30, refused breakfast tray. 11:30, refused lunch tray. $11:30, and then it goes back to 11:22 here. $11:21, page 30, and then page 31, 11:22 to 11:30. Page 32, we start at 12:05. Okay, for some reason that looked weird. Okay. Okay. 12:05, 2021, refused dinner tray. 12:06, we refused the lunch tray today. 12:06, 2:54 p.m. 12/6, 2021 at 2:54 p.m. Information. On today, December 6, 2021, inmate Boone approached the officer's desk with an inmate request form along with 2 handwritten pages. Pardon. Okay, along with 2 handwritten pages that were attached, stating that she wanted to grieve video visitation regarding her visit that took place on yesterday, December 5th, 2021. Inmate Boone stated that her visit was cut off for no reason. I, Officer Veal, made it very clear to Inmate Boone that her visit didn't get cut off for no reason. I'm sure it was a reason. I then asked her if she addressed her concern with the officer that was on duty yesterday. She stated she did, and the officer explained to her, being that her son departed that the at-home visitation screen, her visit ended. I then stated to Inmate Boone, there is the reason. That is the reason. So basically, she was on a visitation with her son. He departed the at-home visitation screen. They ended the visit. Okay, that makes sense. I stated to Inmate Boone, there is the reason. I'm not sure what she's trying to grieve. I took it upon myself to landline video visitation. I spoke to Miss Stanford and advised her of Inmate Boone's concern. Mrs. Stanford asked me to place the phone on speaker so that Inmate Boone can hear the rules on how video visitation works. The rules are no different from an on-site visit. Inmate Boone was still a bit upset but appeared receptive and now understands how video visitation works. Inmate Boone still insisted on speaking to his supervisor. Sergeant Dunn was notified and made aware of the situation. This was for information purposes only. So 12:07, 12:10, 12:10, 12:12, 12:12, 12:12, refusing both breakfast and lunch. Okay, before we skip onto that next page, let's go back to the forgiveness video and see where we are at in Sarah's speech. Sarah is a survivor.
Yeah, we're going to see what happens. You're both going to stick around with us. Thank you for that. Coming up, Michael Ayala also joining me next for more of Sarah Boone's sentencing. She addresses the Torres family directly. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned.
Oh, we got a commercial.
Carolina, Jamie Komorowski will soon learn her fate for the fatal DUI.
Yes, we might get to go over that.
To begin today, but in a turn of events.
Come on, come on.
Later this afternoon, and trust me, you don't want to miss it.
And you don't, but right now you don't want to miss this either, because we are beginning this hour in Florida, where we're following the sentencing hearing for Sarah Boone.
Now, she was found guilty in October of zipping up her boyfriend in a suitcase and then leaving him there to die.
Right now, we want to get you back inside the courtroom. Sarah Boone addressing the court.
Bring your thoughts to make an oral statement.
I do.
All right, would you do that now?
Yes, please. My statement, my verbal statement, is primarily to the Torres family, to the judge, to his daughters. I know you all know who I really am and that I did care for George and
Didn't she just say not that long ago that nobody really knew her? Could you make up your mind, Whiplash?
And that I do still love George. I know you know that we had very many good days. And
I'm sorry to interject again, but like the good day of the day whenever you guys were doing all of your arts and crafts and then started drinking and then he ended up in a suitcase dead? Those good days?
take offense to the statement of being said that this is just for a moment. Right now, with me here in the courtroom in front of you all, this is just for a moment. But the moments before that, in order for me to be here, is endless. It's everlasting. The scars that I have on the inside, my out.
What did she just say? Doesn't make any sense. Let's go back. Maybe I paused it at a bad time.
Right now, with me here in the courtroom in front of you all, this is just for a moment. But the moments before that, in order for me to be here, is endless. It's everlasting.
The moments before that, in order for me to be here, is endless. It's everlasting. Anybody in the comments, let me know what it is that you think of this sentence, what it is that I might be missing here, because it seems like a word salad.
The scars that I have on the inside, my outside scars have healed, except for my stab wound. But this has changed me as a person to see things differently and to understand things differently and to not be weak and just try to protect yourself and forever, regardless of the time that I may receive from today, I forever will have this experience. I forever will have Jorge Torres with me in my heart, in my mind, my body, and my soul.
Well, you would have had him with you had you not put him in a suitcase and let him die. Let's just call it what it is. Anyway, let's go back here. I think there's only, let's see, how many more minutes of that is there? I think we'll probably finish that up with this today. It's 21 minutes of 29, so we'll probably finish that up with her today, so we won't have to be put through that incessant ranting and raving of how good she is and how bad George was and how the family ought to forgive her and how she forgives us and all of our keyboard warriorness and what we've done to her to put her in the position she was in after she let her boyfriend die. I'm glad we're absolved. Negative officer in contact on 12/14 of 2021 at 9:08 a.m. Inmate Boone was called for a visit. Inmate Boone arrived for the visit without a mask on and asked for a new one. Inmate Boone was asked for her old mask to verify the nose clip was intact. Inmate Boone stated she threw the mask in the trash and was unable to provide one. Inmate Boone issued new mask and reminded that a mask must be shown intact in order to be issued a new one. They still gave in to her. 12/15 of 2021 at 11:49 p.m. Well, that's way late. Info: Inmate Boone had an attorney visit tonight, 12/15/2021 at 23:30 hours with attorney Mauricio Padilla. Mr. Padilla requested to see Boone in person in the staff briefing room or some other room. His request was denied and he was advised that he would be allowed to speak with her via the attorney interview room. I personally don't have knowledge of any official directives that allows Boone face-to-face visits at FDC with her attorney. Lieutenant Lorenza was notified concerning this incident. It's in big, bold, bright red. Okay, let's move up here. Lots of information on 12/16/2021 at 9:25 a.m. Excuse me. On December 16, 2021, Inmate Boone approached this officer while conducting a visual and stated that she needed to speak with me. Inmate Boone then stated that inmate Furpus, Susan, is going around B dorm discussing her case and calling her a murmurer and yelling, "I can't breathe." Per Inmate Boone, Inmate Furpus is mocking a case that she knows nothing about. My first question to Inmate Boone was, did she discuss her concern with the officer that was on duty? Boone had no answer to that question. I then told her that I would speak to Inmate Purpose in regards to this matter. Inmate Boone made it loud and clear that she did not want me to speak to Inmate Purpose. Instead, she requested me to move Inmate Purpose from bunk 40, and by doing so, the problem would be resolved. Being that the problem would be solved just by moving one from one bunk to another, I decided to move Inmate Boone instead from bunk 38. Inmate Boone appeared to be upset regarding my decision, so she stated that everything was okay. She didn't want to be moved. She was comfortable where she is currently housed. It should be notated that Inmate Boone is always trying to manipulate staff to get her way. Being that this particular incident didn't work in her favor, she is upset. Inmate Boone is fully aware if I hear anything else in regards to this matter, she will be relocated to a different bunk. Sergeant Dunn was notified and made aware of this incident. It was for informational purposes only. 12:21, breakfast tray refused. 12:21, 5:57 p.m., informational. Inmate Boone approached this officer and stated that she needed a new pair of slides because they are ripped. She stated that she has asked 7 different officers and not one has gotten her a pair. On today, December 21st, 2021, I, Officer Veal, gave Inmate Boone a new pair of slides, but she didn't like the pair, so she declined. She stated that her current ones are so much nicer. I'm not sure what type of slides she thinks she should get. They are all the same. This is for informational purposes only. Oh my god, I can't with this woman. I don't. 12:23, refused breakfast tray. 12:24, refused breakfast tray. 12:24, Christmas Eve, 10:32 p.m. This bitch refused a shower. Christmas Eve. 12:28, inmate refused breakfast tray. 12:29, positive officer contact. Oh, Inmate Boone volunteered to assist with inmate work duties such as washing personal laundry, setting up for lunch, and cleaning the day room due to there being no inmate worker assigned to B dorm. Clappity clap, clappity clap for the positive officer contact. 1-1, Happy New Year, refused lunch tray. 1-3, same. 1-4, informational per CO Lamar, FDCA, Inmate Boone refused to come to the clinic for further medical evaluation. To the clinic for further medical evaluation. M.A. McKay was advised of her refusal. Oh, girl. Oh, lordy. Okay. 1/9/2022, Inmate Boone was given a pair of slides today. She must have liked those better. Happy New Year to you. New slides, new resolutions, clean cells, no breakfast, new you. You go, girl. 1/13/2022, a dorm is currently on restricted movement and does not have a dorm trustee. Inmate Boone assisted with laundry and putting away the supplies. Positive officer contact. Yay, Sarah, yay. 1:14, refused lunch tray. What the heck? 1/14/2022, 5:47 p.m. Inmate refused to get out of bed for chow. Get up, girl. You got nothing to do. You got nothing to do. 1:15, refused lunch. 1:15, refused dinner. 1:16, refused breakfast. 1:16, refused lunch. So did she think she was going to... Was she think she was going to get away with like trying to put herself on a hunger strike? Through this little stint right here. 1/16/2022 at 11:55 a.m. Negative officer impact. During a medical emergency, Inmate Boone was in the shower. Inmate Boone was given a verbal order to get dressed quickly and get out of the shower due to a medical emergency in the dorm. Inmate Boone was given several verbal orders to get out of the shower and return to her bunk. Inmate Boone proceeded to take her time coming out of the shower. Once the medical emergency was completed, Inmate Boone was given 2 hours of informal discipline and counseled about her actions and appeared receptive and understands that future incidents will result in formal disciplinary action. Negative earned. 1:16, refused dinner. 131, razor returned intact. 131, 25, 210, and 211 refused breakfast tray. 211 refused breakfast tray. 212, inmate refused breakfast. 214, 216, and 217 the same. Negative officer contact 2/23/2022. Inmate Boone is receiving this negative for talking in the shower to inmate Wright Robinson. I, Officer Veal, told both inmates several times that there was no talking while in the shower, but to no avail. All inmates were advised of the dorm rules and that noncompliance would result in a negative. Inmate is aware that if her negative behavior continues, she will be given informal discipline. Negative earned. Ay, ay, ay. That was at 9:18 a.m. 10:21 a.m. of the same day of 2/23/2022, there was another negative officer contact. Inmate Boone is receiving this negative for failure to follow verbal order from staff. Here we go. Inmate Boone constantly starts arguments with the other inmates in the dorm every time she volunteers to do duties around the dorm. It should be noted that Inmate Boone is not the dorm trustee, she just volunteers. I advised Inmate Boone that I do not need her assistance any time that I am on duty because of this very reason. On today, February 23rd, 2022, I, Officer Veal, observed Inmate Boone approach Inmate Ward while she was standing at the kiosk. Inmate Boone was telling Inmate Ward that she's not doing a great job at being a dorm trustee because she gave everyone cleaning towels instead of bath towels. Sorry, my kitty's in the way. Move, kitty, kitty. Reading a very demanding script here. Gosh, Nugget. Oh, gosh. All right. Inmate Boone was telling Inmate Ward that she is not doing a great job at being a dorm trustee because she gave everyone cleaning towels instead of bath towels. Towel exchange was conducted. Was conducted at night. So that inmate Ward didn't even do the dorm trustee towel exchanges because it was done the night before. The conversation between the two inmates had gotten loud because causing a disturbance. I advised both Inmate Boone and Inmate Ward to cease the noise and to return to their bunks. Both complied. Shortly after, I observed Inmate Boone still talking about Inmate Ward to another inmate in the dorm. I then called Inmate Boone to the office desk and advised her that I do not want to hear anything else about the cleaning towels, bath towels. It is done and over with. Inmate Boone decided she wanted to continue challenging me by talking about the towels. It should be noted that Inmate Boone constantly tries to challenge and manipulate staff. Inmate Boone was counseled in regards to her behavior. I made it clear that I do not need her doing anything in the dorm unless her name is assigned to a chore on the chore list. I also stated that there is nothing else to talk about in regards to this matter. Inmate Boone did not appear receptive, but understands that future incidents will result in disciplinary action. Negative earned. Bitch, sit your ass down and shut up. People are getting tired of you. Oh, 224, 27, 37, 38. All refused breakfast tray. 3/8/2022 at 12:26 p.m. Positive officer contact. Inmate Boone is receiving this positive due to her cleaning the dorm alongside with the dorm trustee and helping out whenever needed. Yay. Yay for you. If it's Inmate Ward, you were probably just trying to tell her what to do. 3/9/2022 refused breakfast. 3/17 breakfast tray was available and offered. Inmate refused. 3/17/2022 at 9:29 p.m. negative officer contact. Inmate Boone is receiving this negative for being in an unauthorized bunk area. All inmates were advised of the dorm rules and that noncompliance would result in a negative. Inmate is aware that if her negative behavior continues, she will be given formal discipline. I don't know how many times you've got to tell this hoe. 3/22, 3/23, and 3/24, she refused her breakfast tray. We're now on page 38 of 84. 3/25, refused breakfast tray. 3/25, shower offered, inmate verbally refused. 3/26, inmate refused breakfast tray. 3/26, shower offered, inmate refused. Oh, dirty girl. Dirty, dirty girl. 327, verbally refused breakfast tray. 327, shower offered, inmate verbally refused. I'm going to start calling you Sarah Dirty Butt. Sarah Dirty Butt. 328-22, refused breakfast tray. Ugh. Ugh. Gross. Sorry, but Sarah Dirty Butt. I've seen her face. She's just not cute. Okay, 329, 2022, information. During shakedown, inmate Boone had excessive amounts of property that she had to utilize 2 lockers to store it. Inmate Boone was given the inmate handbook to review the rules that govern this jail and dorm. Inmate Boone, extra property was inventoried and taken to property. 329, 2022 at 5:34 a.m. While conducting a shakedown in B dorm, it was discovered that inmate Boone had excessive property, causing her to occupy 2 drawers, even storing items underneath the mattress due to both drawers being full to capacity. Inmate was ordered to pack up and inventory her belongings to be sent to property. During this process, inmate Boone was not receptive. Inmate tried to give every excuse as to why she needed each item, prolonging the process. This is not the first time inmate Boone has been told she has extremely too much property. A padlock was placed on drawer 35 to prevent her from further storing her items. Girl. 4-3 at 1:10 a.m. for information purposes only. What does it say though? What does it say? Doesn't say anything. Oh, inmate Boone received a bag of property from BRC Property Room. Inmate Boone was advised that if all her belongings did not fit in one drawer, she would need to send some property back. Inmate Boone pulled clothing and legal paperwork out and sent the rest of the property that was in the bag back to BRC Property for informational purposes. 4-6, razors attacked. 4-8, refused breakfast. 4-9, 4-10, 4-11 as well. 4-14, breakfast was available, refused. 4-14, breakfast was available and refused. So they asked her twice within 4 minutes of each other. 5:42 on 4:15, breakfast refused. 4:19 and 4:20 as well. We're now on page 40. It puts us almost to the halfway mark. Inmate was issued clippers and returned them intact on 4:23. 4:23, shower offered. Inmate verbally refused. 4:24, refused lunch. 4:24, inmate was issued hair clippers and returned them intact. She didn't wash her hair or her butt. I wouldn't be loaning her any of those equipment. Blech. 4/27, 2022, positive officer contact. Inmate is receiving this positive for stepping up and assisting with dorm chores. Several inmates put on daily cleaning lists with restrictions or no work alert. Inmate Boone volunteered to complete tasks so dorm could continue its normal operation. Positive earned. Good job, Sarah. Good job. 4/28, 2022, refused breakfast. 5/3, 2022 at 3:41 p.m. for information purposes. Let's see if I can raise this up here so we can all read this. Oh, no, okay. At approximately 1400 hours, the water to the whole compound was turned off. In preparation, each dorm was provided 1 large trash can to be filled with water for the toilet and 2 water coolers for drinking water. In the memo sent out by management, the water is to be shut off for at least 5 to 6 hours. So due to this, the water coolers were not readily available for the inmates to drink. Boone came from outside on the rec yard asking for water. I, Officer Jenkins, told her no. She was not satisfied with my response. She stated that she had walked 100 laps in the rec yard and needed water. Again, I, Officer Jenkins, said no and attempted to explain that the drinking water in the coolers needed to last for hours. She then tried to bargain with me, asking for water now and she would not get any later. Again, I said no, but reminded her that she can get water from the nurse again like she did this morning during MedPass. This was not an acceptable answer for Boone. Boone returned to the desk with a filled-out request form asking for a grievance. The request will be given to my immediate supervisors. This is for informational purposes only. I don't understand why they wouldn't have just given her water. If I come in from walking 100 laps, I'm going to want water. That just didn't seem. I don't care who you are. I mean, that just doesn't seem. I get that they have no water in preparation for 5 or 6 hours and it had to last. But she did come right in off a wreck and ask for water. I don't understand. I also don't understand, though, why she would have refused if she needed it that badly, why she did just get it from medical like they offered. All right, let's go see what's going on in her little speechy speech.
As he and I used to say that we were one soul split into two bodies. This is not just for a moment. It may be for everyone in this courtroom, but when I leave, this is forever. When you all leave, that this is forever. This is forever for everyone here and those who it matters to most. I am one of those who will experience this forever. I'm sorry. Words do not define my shame, and I
am no body language expert. I am no body language expert. Can anybody tell me where they see shame as she says this sentence, please?
Do not define my shame, and I don't know what else it is that I can say and convey to the Torres family.
Maybe try being honest.
How this happened. The ifs and whys and how really don't matter. It happened, and I'm sorry. Words cannot describe. And I hope that everyone can forgive me, the Torres family most of all, and his daughters, because I know what he meant to them. And I don't think that anybody ever understood what he meant to me and I to him. And I ask for forgiveness.
I find her deplorable in every way whatsoever, but that's just my opinion, which, doesn't mean anything to anybody else. So it's just, I find it deplorable the way that she acts and the plausibility that she's actually, that she actually has any shame or any regret, any remorse. It just, it's non-existent. It's not plausible. She just doesn't. I don't know that she feels anything in any way except for herself. The most narcissistic person I have seen on one of these trials. Now, again, as I stated, that's just my opinion. You're welcome to do your own research to see what it is that you can find out about her and the way that she acted and her tude.
Ms. Boone, I have just one or two questions, if you don't mind. And you can speak on it if you want or not. But this is a unique case, and one of the reasons it's so unique is that you were in jail for 4.5 years prior to your trial. And I understand that when you were brought up as a child,
that doesn't make her unique. Being in jail for the 4.5 years prior to her trial does not make her unique.
You did have some spirituality in your family, some church, some religion.
Always.
But I understand that you got away from that. Did you have a chance during the 4.5 years to look back at your spirituality?
Absolutely. Everyone supposes that this is one of the worst experiences of my life, and it's actually been one of my greatest. If I were not beaten to death, I was going to work myself to death on the outside, and I never had time to get back into my Bible and to pray and to be with the Lord. And I, being here incarcerated, have had time, of course, to get closer to God, to reacquaint myself to Him and realize what it's all about. This is all temporary. And when I say temporary, I don't mean by being set free in jail. or from prison or wherever else. It means being set free and temporary, meaning that you work for something higher, you work for God, that you strive for your crown to be placed upon your head by Jesus Christ by being said.
Okay. First of all, I heard her say, I was going to work myself to death on the outside. Ma'am, might I remind you, you were on alimony and we're paid $100 a month for child support. You didn't work. You had your husband's credit card. He paid for your phones. He paid for your car. He paid for your apartment. He paid you alimony for existing. The idea that you're telling everybody that you were going to work yourself to death and doing what? And doing what? Drinking? You were working towards drinking yourself to death? That seems more plausible to me. More likely scenario. And then to start the religious manipulation here, the emotional manipulation through religion, pathetic. Pathetic. Did you not say that this is forever? This is not temporary. This is forever. And then now all of a sudden it's temporary? Because you're trying to find a way into heaven? Miss me, you piece of shit.
You have done well, my good and faithful servant. I've always tried to be a good and faithful servant. I
Negative.
was just a servant,
Lies.
as opposed to doing all that I can when my family were alive and I was going for everything up to this point.
So you were good and faithful. You were a good and faithful servant until your family died, and then all of a sudden you were just not a good and faithful servant anymore? What are we for? Stop being dumb.
I've become so much more closer to the Lord, and it's made me such a better person. And I hope that I'm an example going forward of the Lord's light and can draw many people to me because of it.
Oh my. Oh my. Let me just. You're a nerve wracking bitch, is what you are, Sarah. That's just. Okay. At last we heard she was dying for water when she came back in, as opposed to dying in a suitcase because she wasn't zipped up in one out in rec yard. 5/6/2022 refused breakfast. 5/7, 5/8, 5/9 as well. 5/9 she had negative officer impact. 5/9/2022 at 1:26 p.m. Inmate was observed talking in the bunk area after multiple warnings regarding not talking in the bunk area. The day room and recreation yards are open. So get your ass out in the sunshine and do something about that pasty skin. 5/12, 5/19, and 5/20 refused breakfast. 5/21 refused breakfast. 5/25 razor returned intact. 5/26 refused breakfast. Here we are on. Oh, oh, oh. There's a little gem down there. Oops. 6/14/2022 negative officer in contact. Inmate. Speak English. Inmate earned this negative for talking in the bunk area. That was 6/14 of 2022. This right here at the bottom. Okay, now on to page 20. Okay. Beep beep beep. Coming up on 43 minutes here, so we'll shut this down here shortly. But and then I guess we're gonna have a part 4. How exciting! How exciting! Maybe even go into part 5, depending on how much crap is here between 42 and 84. Right? All right. 6/15/2022, verbally refused breakfast tray. 6/18/2022 at 3:04 p.m. We have negative officer contact. Per Sergeant Hicks, Bravo dorm was placed on lockdown due to their behavior during a medical emergency. Some inmates, including Boone, asked for request forms to grieve the situation. Once Boone completed the request, she approached the desk asking if I was going to call Sergeant Hicks. I stated no, and to just place her request with the others. This was not to Boone's satisfaction. She stated that she had done nothing wrong and shouldn't be punished. I explained to her that if it was out of my control and to step away from the desk. Boone asked to speak with Sergeant Hicks, to which I responded again for her to step away from the desk and return to her bunk. Boone remained standing at the desk. I called for movement to respond to B dorm due to me having one for the holding cell. Boone was compliantly handcuffed and sent to the holding cell. Sergeant Hicks was made aware of this situation. 6/20/2022 at 2:47 p.m. positive officer contact. Inmate Sarah Boone was extremely helpful throughout the duration of the shift. She ensured to clean, help others do laundry, serve chow, and keep order in the dorm. She has shown a positive attitude with a willingness to help. Yay! Yay, Sarah! 727375. Refused breakfast tray. 7/6/2022 at 5:54 p.m. Inmate completed cleanup, helped with laundry, and helped serve chow for the dorm throughout the day. Yay, Sarah! Yay! 7:20, 7:23 refused breakfast. 7:29 refused breakfast. 8:10 refused breakfast. 8:13 refused breakfast. 8/13/2022 at 9:54 p.m. Negative officer impact. Inmate Boone is receiving this negative for causing a disturbance in the bunk area. All inmates were advised of the dorm rules, and the noncompliance would result in a negative. Negative earned. 8/14/2022, 6:19 a.m. Refused breakfast. 8/14/2022, 7:28 p.m. Negative officer contact. All inmates were given expectations at the beginning of shift. All inmates were advised that only one inmate is allowed in the restroom at a time. Inmate Boone was seen in the restroom with inmate Benya. Both inmates were counseled about their behavior. Both inmates are well aware of the dorm rules and that noncompliance would result in a negative earned. 8/15/2022 refused breakfast tray. 8/22/2022 at 12:27 p.m. That's a lot of twos. Negative officer impact. While relieving Officer Brown in Bravo dorm, I recalled. Let's start over. While relieving. Okay, I'm about to quit my job. This will be the last page. While relieving Officer Brown in Bravo dorm, I received a call from DSO Foster via phone for inmate Boone, Sarah, about an interview she had up front. When I called out to Boone to let her know she had an interview, she came to the officer's desk and asked who was visiting. When I explained I did not know who, but she has an interview, she became intolerant and belligerent by stating, "Oh, you don't know your job? It's your job to find out. So I know what to bring." When I counseled her on her disrespectful outburst, she became irate and walked away from the desk to retrieve her papers. Be advised, she has dozens of negatives to her behavior towards staff. Indeed, she does. Indeed, she does. Maybe we'll count them up at the end. 8/25/2022. Inmate Boone temporarily relocated to BRC 1A per medical. Inmate Boone's property and bedding is secured in FDCB dorm bunk 36B pending her return for informational purposes only. 8/28. Inmate refused breakfast tray. 8/30. Inmate refused shower. And we are on page. Oh man, that's tempting, isn't it? Okay. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna do it. We're not gonna see what it is. Oh gosh. Okay. All right. We're on page 43, going into page 44. And in her forgiveness speech, we are 25 minutes of 29. So we are going to have a part 4. Absolutely. I hope you guys are enjoying this little series of inmate Boone's bad behaviors, and I'm really, really enjoying hanging out with you guys. Really enjoying the content, and I hope that we can do this for many, many months more on just a bunch of different content, a bunch of different things we can find. I'm super excited. I have a couple of FOIAs out that I'm waiting for return progress on. If you would do me a favor, if you would just maybe leave a comment and let me know what you think of this series, leave a like. At the end of the day, do whatever you want. But as always, thank you for hanging with EO.